Hi, I'm Froskurinn, shoutcaster for the LEC. This comment is from Papaya Dreaming, a TSM fan on Reddit. Papaya said, I tried watching LEC, but I didn't enjoy it because it was more cringe than LCS. Well, Papaya, all I can say is sorry. We've done all we can. We try to provide entertainment for all LEC fans, even if they're not regular viewers. It's not easy. My friend Medic here has been working on LEC for 3 years. You're a TSM fan, aren't you, Papaya? All blue cards and Fortnite poggers? What are your credentials, Papaya? What drives you? When was the last time you got up at 4 in the morning for something you believed in? We don't need you, Papaya. You're one dissenting voice in a billion. You're that!
Yes, LEC is a charge for the senses. Yes, it's feisty. Yes, it's got guts. But so have we, Papaya. So have we. Look at us! Come on then, Papaya! Come on! Right here, right now! Come on, NA! China! The world! I'll take you all on! I'm Froskurinn! I want LEC! Come and get me!
Germany for Berlin Pride Weekend and Week 6 of the LEC Summer Season. I'm Quickshot, joined by Vedius and Froskurinn. And the Titans have fallen. New blood has taken over the throne, at least for now. We will see if the old guard can turn things around in Week 6. I mean, going in today, Mad Lions and Rogue, they've got a huge gap against the rest of the league, and they're looking to secure top 4 for playoffs.
I think at this point, it might already be secure, Trevor. Not mathematically, of course, but if you look at just how they've dismantled their opponents and the improvements that both these squads have made, it is clear those are the two best teams in our league. And if you're just tuning in, you'd be like, but wait, that's not G2 and Fnatic.
It's fascinating because they're the best for slightly different reasons. Mad Lions have been a lot more on the creative aspect. They've brought out new picks to the meta. They've really changed up and challenged what has been conventional, whereas Rogue have been conventional. They've been consistent, they've been reliable, they've been solid, and it's always a treat to see both these teams play right now.
I mean, they're sitting at the top of the table. They're turning our attention to currently tied in third Fnatic. They went 2-0 last week. That's great. But it wasn't the most convincing.
I'm all about glass half full. You can look at it two ways. You can either say, wow, Fnatic should have absolutely lost those games. They should be counting their lucky stars that they scraped by. Or you can say, wow, Fnatic are so good that they turned around a dumpster fire and managed to win a game.
Where do you actually believe that? Because like I flip-flopped on my thoughts both times, and like whether you put blame on their opponents as well, right? But at the end of the day, they did get the 2-0 in standings at this close. It's so important.
I mean, I feel like that Elder fight came in, and DOS was like, I guess we're just throwing down ultimates with the Leon ultimate, and Fnatic were like, okay, I guess we fight now, so.
I'm in line with the ancient proverb from many years back, which is, we take those. And I think that Fnatic was struggling. And
Redditorius said that,
right? Yes, quite right, yes. I think that Fnatic look pretty bad right now, and they have a lot of work to be done to be able to challenge the top spots.
Pretty bad. A lot of work to challenge top spot.
Well, I said
G2.
Dumpster fire.
We're talking about G2, right? Look, obviously G2 in a difficult situation. Coming into Summer Split was not a good start. We know there's some extenuating circumstances, but there is a risk that they could miss playoffs. That means they could miss Worlds. but we still have some faith in them, some confidence. But I mean, like, this is the most unique situation we've had with G2 in a long time.
I think what's really fascinating is that it feels to me that we're willing to give G2 a little bit more benefit of the doubt just because of their pedigree and history.
Back
I mean,
to
for sure.
back
But at the same time, they have exactly the same issues that Fnatic have, where they're struggling to find their feet in the meta. Individually, they're not performing at the level that we normally expect. So I do think that G2 still have a lot to answer for if they want to be able to challenge for those playoff spots.
It feels like that's that tiny little voice in the back of your head that says, hey, remember when we said that G2 wouldn't win finals in spring? Yeah. And then the night before they come in and just absolutely smash Fnatic? That's why I'm a little bit holding off my reservations for G2.
Okay, let's zoom out a little bit. We've looked towards the top of the table for the most part. SK, XL, Vitality, Misfits, the teams that are highlighted on your standings. Froskurinn, these teams are all still in the running for playoffs, but they can't all make it.
Yeah, and that's the thing to remember. Remember, guys, we have playoffs and then no regional qualifiers. So if you don't make playoffs, you do not get an opportunity to go to Worlds. And now if we assume that the G2, the Origins, the Fnatics, the Rogue, and the Mad Lions are all going to go to playoffs, that leaves one ticket between a Vitality, an SK, a Misfits, and Excel. And if you want more of those teams to pop in, then a G2 or a Fnatic or an Origin won't make playoffs.
And of course, we are assuming, by we, I mean me, that Origin are going to make it because Jack Troll is the one true savior of OG. He stepped in, he went 2-0 last week. Look, OG looked revitalized.
Yeah, they certainly did. And I think a big issue that Origin has been struggling with, I mean, for a long time, is their communication. Indecisiveness seems to be the name of the game, and I feel like with the addition of Jack Troll, they just have a clearer direction. If nothing else, it's just go forward, and it feels like he's definitely making the team work a little bit better.
I'm interested to see if it continues, how long this will play out, because there's a lot of naysayers out there that still have to, that Jack Troll still has to silence. Look, my two experts here, they've made life easier for you at home by picking out 5 players that are going to dominate the scoreboard in a Super Fantasy Team of the Week for this week. When I take a look at the players, I'm first surprised that there's 2 G2 players on there, but I kind of buy everybody else.
Whoa. It's because of strength of schedule. When you're trying to get points in fantasy, you got to look at strength of schedule.
System, okay?
You play the game. That is no reason system. That is how the game works.
So here's how it goes. They're facing both Schalke, and then they're also facing Rogue. And I know you have strong opinions about the Rogue matchup.
Well, I think that when you look at Rogue, G2 is 7-0 over them historically. So
pretty
I think that G2 just seem to have a formula for beating them. And I think that given how OG have looked and Mad Lions, like a lot of people will be like, why would you pick Kaiser when they're playing against Fnatic?
Let's put MVP.
He's playing against Illisang.
Yeah.
No points. Trust me.
And if you don't agree with us, it's really easy to fix this. If you think that Rogue's going to beat G2, then just slam in Inspired and Larson there. Boom, ship it, you're good.
Okay, so there we go. 2 options for a Super Fantasy Team of the Week. This week, it is show up or shut up for G2 as they face off against Rogue in our Alienware match of the week.
It's been a fantastic split so far for Rogue. This one feels like a reawakening. Securing and holding a spot at the top of the standings is a good look. But one has to wonder, will they be able to beat a G2 that's hungry for wins and desperate to not miss playoffs? A team whose renown is built on delivering when it matters the most.
So we're just playing bad right now, and that's just the truth.
Kazi is using that martial poise to dance over G2's corpses.
We're confident that we can switch it around.
Vander's not here. Vander is not here to save Hans Sommer, and this has to be it.
We lost every game against them, and they feel quite cocky against us. We just need to play like we have nothing to lose.
I was not a Hans Sommer believer.
Oh, arrow!
An ally has been slain.
Here comes another TP.
Game, Hans Sommer going forward. Maybe can Syndra steal it? Syndra looking for the setup. You gotta get it, Hans Sommer! Are you kidding me?
But now what we're seeing here is he's not afraid to be aggressive. He's not afraid to make the big plays, and that's everything that you want in such an 80 carry centric meta.
We have a different style. We are ready to take risk. I can 200 years, by the way.
Steal it anyway. Moonlight Vigil! Whoa, the Infernum damage does a huge amount.
As much as Larson and Inspired look like the premier jungle mid duo, this is a bot lane that is worth watching, and they're a big reason why Rogue is on top.
An absolute monster on the top. And the flash in from Inspired. Larson gets a blue buff from that. Hans Sommer's still alive. The pullback. Hans Sommer's still alive. Great stuff from Vander. Rogue just continue to come out on top.
So our game against Rogue last time was kind of like a crazy explosion. We were playing very aggressively.
Here comes the gold cards. The chase. The gold cards come out and Wonder gets another.
A lot of time if any mid is just like roaming, it can be hard for them to keep up.
There comes the gold card and there goes Hans Sommer.
and Rogue, as like a bit of a slower team, we're not really prepared for it. But as long as we get snowball champs, or as long as we get equal scaling, I think they don't really stand much of a chance.
Jankos ulted! G2 might not have got the dragon, but they darn well got the fight.
Either way, I have no doubt in my mind that these 5 players will show why they are still the best in Europe.
Rogue, fight me!
Rogue needs to defeat G2 in order to contest for first and, frankly, to prove they can. G2 holds a dominating win streak over Rogue, but G2's recent performances show weakness. G2 needs to bring back the level of performance they showed at Worlds that made them dominant. If not, they risk missing playoffs and the World Championship. The stakes are huge for both teams. 2 of the best lineups in the LEC will give it their all in the match that could decide their road to playoffs.
Rogue's all-time record versus G2 is 0 wins to 7 defeats. This team, however, is now 9-2 in the summer split. And yet the question we are still asking and somewhat discussing, and fans at home don't really know, how good are they?
I mean, so what makes me laugh is that Rogue is 9-2.
They're tied for first.
Right, and everyone's just sitting there being like,
but how good are
Lions.
they?
Yeah. I think that it's a real unfortunate situation where a lot of the teams around Rogue are saying, I'm not worried about them. I'm not scared. The conversation is always about, we expect G2 and Fnatic to ramp up later. We still respect OG. Rogue is still considered this outcast. It's like, hello, I'm kind of here.
I'm really good. I'm in first.
And I think the biggest thing that's different between last split and this split is that man in the mid lane. I think Larssen has become so much more consistent compared to last split, and statistically, he is currently our best performing mid laner. So I think the Rogue have a lot going for them. Unfortunately, it's just kind of passing by the wayside because they haven't yet proved that they can take down the mantle of G2.
I just think it's this assumption that they're warming the spot instead of earning the spot that they sit in.
Ooh.
And I personally do think that Rogue have made significant improvements. I think that other teams around them, G2 in particular, are overlooking this squad. Now, does that mean that I think that Rogue will beat G2? No, but that goes into a different conversation. But I do think that Rogue's laners specifically have stepped up and gotten better. It used to be you walked into lane phase, and if Rogue beat you in lane, then maybe they have a 50-50 shot at winning the game. But if you smash them in lane, they were almost always going to lose because they played a very formula-based League of Legends. But now that you have Hansama and Vander popping off, Larssen coming into his own, suddenly this is a very scary monster that I think teams are a little bit slow to respect.
So I started the segment by asking the question, how good is Rogue? We're going to ask the exact same question. How good is G2 right now? They've been struggling. They've had a week full of scrims. We heard in the video, Jankos and Grabs, they don't think very highly of Rogue. They are very confident in win this game. So Frosk, what do you want to see from G2 today and then obviously tomorrow in our Alienware match?
Because I think it goes back to while Rogue have made improvements, they haven't changed their play style. And for G2, because they've been so dominant on them, you heard it from Caps. We get a snowball composition and we just outpace them, or we match them in scaling and we can team fight them. And that's the thing. Rogue are going to change the system that they give you. They're just better at doing it now. So the test will be, can G2 actually match them in lane phase now?
Ooh, I can't wait. I can't wait. That's going to be tomorrow. That is the match of the week. Before we get to that, and while the action will be continuing in the LEC, there is some heavy fighting going on across the European regional leagues. Medic is going to be checking in on one of our ERLs.
Thank you very much, Trevor. Now, the Northern League of Legends Championship, or the NLC for short, was formed at the start of summer as a merger of the UK League Championship and the Nordic Championship. The joining of the two regions has definitely raised the bar of competition, but has made qualifying for the EU Masters for these teams a lot more tricky. Previously, they held 4 spots between them, and now that's been cut down to only 2 in a region with some very strong teams. So who are my eyes on in the NLC? Well, there are 2 names that we'll start with that are probably quite familiar to you all: Fnatic Rising and BTXL. Both the regional teams have already qualified for playoffs, and with only 3 games left in the regular season, they are sitting atop their respective groups. Of the 2, I think Fnatic Rising are definitely looking more dominant. Currently, they're undefeated, and they've yet to really be challenged in their group. And with Magifelix at the helm, there's no real surprise there. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about Magifelix before. You know, he's the guy that got to Challenger in every single role. Well, apparently that solo queue form is translating onto a bigger stage. But To me, he's actually not the biggest standout on this Fnatic Rising roster. Xmati is the guy you should have your eyes on. He's been with Fnatic Rising since 2019, and he continues to impress me. His positioning in teamfights, his understanding of when to be aggressive, and then also his ability and willingness to get into the heart of the action while only dying about 1.2 times a game is incredibly impressive. And he'll be a key component in Fnatic's bid to win the EU Masters this summer. On the other hand, BTXL have had a little bit more of a turbulent time. In recent weeks, they have started to really hit their stride, and they currently sit atop their group with a 6-2 scoreline. BT have utilized the power of not only a very good AD carry in Deadly, but also a mid laner who's skirted on the edges of the LEC for a while now. Hatrix, who has previously played alongside Finn and Rome and Treats, he really seems to be thriving in a meta that is dictated by scaling mages in the mid lane. Both his Orianna and his Azir are to be feared, and with Deadly being such a good team fighter, BTXL have actually found a style that works incredibly well for them. The final week of the NLC regular season is starting on Tuesday, and with playoff spots still to play for, you'd be a fool to miss out.
I'm going to say that Medic's trolling a little bit. Like, I know that everyone will look at the NLC and they'll say, like, the Academy teams. I know Excel, like, Fnatic Rising are good, but Group B with Fnatic Rising is stacked. If you put Tricked, Dusty, any of those teams actually in Group A, I don't think Excel look that strong, so...
Oh, I love it because both of them are passing the NLC, so I love that we're getting spicy this year.
Tricked, that's what you're looking for.
Everybody at home, please check out lolesports.com. You can find out more information on all of the URLs and find out where you want to watch. Let's turn our attention back to the LEC. Fnatic and XL are also in the heat today. Both could be a turning point in the race for playoffs. We're going to be saving the best for last when Fnatic will be taking on Mad Lions. But Vedius, what games do you have your eyes on today?
I mean, I'm really excited for the G2 Schalke matchup. I think that this will be a really interesting set to see how G2 is doing. How do they look after a week full of strong
you just want to see the world burn, because this is like, how good are G2 or how bad are they against Schalke?
Also, it was Schalke last year that also beat G2
we literally,
in the second half of the split.
Oh, I love this.
There's literally two lions fighting each other, and you're like, yes, but the two crabs fighting each other.
What I love is
murdered by the first place team.
Depending on your perspective, there are a whole plethora of stories and games to watch. Look, let's turn our attention to the gameplay. Let's turn our attention to some champions. We're still waiting on Ash's first win in LEC Summer, so maybe today is the day. Froskurinn, please, please, please teach these players how to win with the Frost Archer.
Yeah. Okay, team. So last week we preached the holy gospel. Gotta hit my mark. Nailed it. We preached the holy gospel of Crownie's Twitch. And this week we're here to boost you through solo queue once again with a brand new product. Ashe. See, with the nerfs to Aphelios, Varus, and Conqueror, the ecosystem around Ashe has shifted to let her climb to the very top. Now Ashe has oppressive range, strong push, unique utility, and smooth build paths and scaling. She's essentially that sweet spot between Aphelios and former Varus. Now, there's a multitude of reasons for the rise of Ashe, but I wanted to dive into one of the most misunderstood mechanics about her. Ashe's relationship with crit. See, every ADC in the game has their damage doubled by critical strike, except Ashe. Instead, her Frost Shot on basic attacks does amplified damage plus damage based on her crit chance. I'll give you an example. If Ashe's base damage is 50, her Frost Shot will do about 55. If she has 25% critical strike chance, she'll do about 67 damage. In this example, I believe it's 89. So over the course of 4 auto attacks, Ashe will do 251 damage. Every other ADC over the course of 4 auto attacks with 50 base damage will do between 200 to 250 damage, pending if they get that critical strike. So, are you feeling lucky? Because this makes Ashe's damage stable and consistent, as she'll do slightly more damage on every auto rather than relying on her damage to spike on crits like every other ADC. You add in her Frost Slow and every basic attack, and the fact that her critical strike can proc her critical slow. That doubles the slow percentage. Then Ashe is also able to stick more autos into you. This also vastly changes her relationship with itemization, because no one has crit chance at the start of the game, making her autos just more powerful in the early game. Ashe will typically build Blade of the Ruined King due to its synergy with her Q, Ranger's Focus. Ashe's Flurry of Autos will always do slightly more damage than a Frost Shot basic attack, but where it really gets you is with the increased attack speed. With Runon's Hurricane and Blade of the Rune King, Ashe can get about 7 autos off in 4 seconds. Now, the TLDR of a lot of this napkin math is that it goes down when Ashe turns on her Q, and due to other ADC's relationship with item critical strike chance, Ashe has a really smooth and stable damage ramp over the course of the game, because that stat is expensive. Ashe is essentially the rogue of ADCs. She's consistent, she's stable, she's blue in color scheme. Every other ADC is G2, rolling the dice on critical strike chance to find their KO and keep them relevant. And frankly, we all know who's on top of the standings right now.
Frankly though, while she may be the rogue of ADCs, she's winless. Ashe's
only in the LEC.
Oh, okay, touche. In the LEC, well, 65 wins. What's that? 60 losses over an LPL. I mean, Patrick's the only good Ashe player that I've seen, Vedius.
I mean, for sure. But all I'm gonna say is, while the LPL is winning a lot with the Ashe, they're also losing a lot with the Ashe.
Oh, that sounds like quick stats. That sounds like quick stats.
Yeah, it's great analysis there.
Like, gotcha, LPL.
Yeah. So, for reference on these numbers, the LPL has played about like 120 games of Ashe alone. We've played 6 games of Ashe.
We also play a whole lot more games, so yes, that is.
I'm just saying.
I want to dive into that. I want to dive.
But the point is that they've been playing it all split long, right?
Yeah.
And like Ashe has been a big meta pick for the LPL ever since the start, and it's quite fascinating that it's taken a longer time to catch up here in Europe. And even though it is being picked up more, it feels like a lot of our teams don't really know how to utilize her properly.
Ooh, China doing better with bot laners. Tell me something I'm not.
That's like a lot.
Yeah, but for every win, somebody also has to have a loss, right? I think it's just the number of total. We're about to jump into SK taking on XL. Just before we do, Patrick did show some strong Ashe mechanics for XL last week, and Law stopped by with Youngbuck ahead of today's game.
And thank you very much, guys, and thank you, Youngbuck, for joining me ahead of your game.
Hey Laura, thanks for having me.
It's been a while, so let's catch up on things. I mean, summer has been crazy for every team, I feel, but how has it been for XL through all this?
Very similar. It's been a crazy split where, of course, we made 2 changes which completely changed how we play as a team. And going with a 0-4 start, it looked pretty grim, but we made our way back. Winning 4 of our 5 last games up until last week, and then we went 0-2 against the top 2 teams. So we have no clue where we stand ourselves. We have no clue where most of the teams middle of the pack are right now. So the next few weeks are actually going to show us, like, are we good enough to make playoffs or not?
I feel like it's the general sentiment overall, like no one knows what teams are actually worth. And you were talking about last week, we'll come back on this one a bit later, but you said that XL had to bounce back on the weak performance maybe you had at the beginning of the split. So tell me about coming back actually and working around this duo dynamic that you brought for Summer Split.
Yeah, so we brought in Joran, who was relatively new to the stage, and Felix Kreis, who was completely new. And in the beginning of the split, it was adjusting to the stage, also with the drafting, how we adjust to the stage compared to scrims that made the first few games not that easy. Of course, we also had a really strong schedule.
Yeah.
But I think throughout the weeks, we got way better at finding what we want to do and how we want to draft, what we feel comfortable with going on the stage. And it helped that we then also had an easier schedule, and I think that helped us a lot in getting the 4 wins.
Yeah, I was wondering actually about last week, especially since you had a very good performance since then. How did the team feel after that, and how did you cheer them up for this week and to be ready for the schedule?
The truth we told last week was quite a bummer. We had a really good feeling that we would win 1, maybe even 2 games because we really believed in our strategy and that it was going to be in our hands. Mad Lions did a really good job dismantling our win condition that game, where they ganked us level 2, where we really had to win from bot lane pressure. So really kudos to them. They played fantastic. And then in the Rogue game, we just had a lot of mistakes that were a little bit uncharacteristic, and we couldn't get the lead that we wanted to get. Because that's kind of the identity we're taking on, and that we're going to take on this week as well. We want to be in a position where we make decisions, where we have agency, where we put the enemy on the back foot, and we are the ones that have to make the good decisions, instead of waiting for the opponents to either make a mistake or just going for the scaling route. It's not really what we want to do.
All right, well, and looking at the opponents, you're going to have SK and Vitality tomorrow. I guess it's the easy week for you guys maybe to try these things, no?
Yeah, I mean, truth be told, these are games that where we need to grab wins to play for playoffs. So We are very well aware of that. We are feeling the pressure of it, of course, as well. But I think that we are ready for the challenge.
Hopefully it's a pressure that you guys can use, and that will help you to reach playoff. Thank you very much, Youngbuck, for the interview, and good luck against SK today.
Thank you very much.
And for more on the upcoming game, let's send it back to the casters.
Law, I'm so happy to have you back doing interviews on the show, and a fantastic interview with Youngbuck. Very candid, very honest about his perspective on the league, his perspective on XL's performance, and they've got the weight of the entire 2020 season on their shoulders. They need to turn the split around in order to make playoffs. Every single game is must win, including today against SK, tomorrow against Vitality. They've only got 4 wins. They need more because they're behind the middle of the pack.
Okay. Yes, when you say it like that. But the thing is I just want to echo what Youngbuck said. I think for whatever reason, people just got a bad taste around XL, or just assumed that this team wasn't worth talking about because of strength of schedule to start. And it kind of set the tone. They had a really tough strength of schedule. They got put in the dumpster, and now they've been like, XL, they're not really a team. But I actually think they're the middle of the pack team. Against all the bottom teams, save for Misfits, they pick up wins. If they win today, they hold the head-to-head against SK.
But they've never made playoffs.
They've only been in the league for 2.
This is the 4th time!
Yeah, 2 years!
Okay. So, I mean, look, they obviously have to pick up wins, and yes, we need to see what they do against SK.
All right, camera, look at me. All right, look at me.
Oh, no. I will fight you, Vedi.
Am I single? Okay, listen. XL have this issue where they come in with a really good strategy. And I look at Frosk, I'm like, hey, I really like that strategy. And Frost looks back to me and she goes, yeah, I do really like that strategy, right? And then we watch them, and then we see a blue card, and then we see a missed ultimate. And a lot of the times we're talking about mis-execution from XL. And it's one of those things where like, oh yeah, that's a really easy problem to solve.
It is an easy problem to solve.
Then solve it.
It wasn't a problem
Then solve
5 weeks into the split, because we're still saying it. I agree with you, Frost, that XL seem to have all the pieces that they need to be successful.
Vedius, I would rather have
seeing the execution errors week on week on week. At some point, you just have to say, maybe the players can't compete at the level as everyone else.
But Vedius, if the hand is broken, eventually the hand will get better. If the brain is broken, you never recover from that.
But like, I don't think that SK have a broken brain. I think that SK have a very clearly defined style that works for them. And I think that when they play front to back and when they put all of the eggs into the SK crown
it's a very simple strategy, yes.
And it works, and it gets them wins even against some of the best teams in our league.
Okay, no, wait. You stay out of this, Dad.
Yeah.
Where's my single?
Okay,
right here? Yeah, I see you, RoboCam. Let me tell you how this is going to play out. You're going to look at Draft, and Draft's going to tell you if Crownshot got one of his champions. You're looking for a Twitch, you're looking for an Ezreal. Good luck getting that. That should be banned. Excel, if you're listening, ban it. Anyway, and you're going to say, okay, Crownshot got a carry. Maybe SK have a chance. Or, on the other side, Excel, they're going to have a really easy composition. It's not that high level. It's not that hard to think it through. Very simple. And you're like, Excel, better team, better pieces across the board. They'll win. That's how this works.
Okay, children.
Blue card, hits it into a wall.
Let's dial this back for a second, because I absolutely love all of the unplanned singles. But it works, right? And the thing that I love the most is that the last time these two teams met, both of your respective arguments came 100% true. We saw mis-execution from XL. We saw all the eggs in the Crownshot basket. I mean, it didn't work.
The last time they fought, it was very much the Patrick versus Crownshot argument, right? And
yes,
I think
I
think that again, I was in agreement with Frost. I think the XL have all the pieces to be able to be a middle-of-the-pack team. To me, they just haven't demonstrated that they can consistently perform at that level, whereas SK has.
What do you mean they beat all of the teams? I don't understand that statement. They've beaten SK, they've beaten Vitality, they've beaten G2, they've beaten all the middle-of-the-pack teams.
And now, on the back half of the split with 7 games left to play, XL can once again rinse and repeat what we saw in the first half. They had the losing streak into the winning streak. We've got less than 2 minutes as we're watching the last time these two teams met. Patrick went 200 years on SK and picked up the first win. The head-to-head is going to be crucially important, as are wins in the second half of the split. So I'm going to turn my attention to you, Vedius, and I'm going to say last week, you and I both loved what SK Gaming did with that Twitch and the Yuumi, and we loved the execution that they had. Do you believe that from the last time they played XL and from what we've seen in SK, that SK could beat XL today?
Yep, I believe in Crowny. I think that Crownshot is having a fantastic split. I think that SK has figured out a method that works for them, and while I do believe they do have a bit of a one-dimensional style, when they get the champions that work for them, they're able to find success. So I have a lot of faith, and I think that SK will take it today.
I think that this game is pretty much decided in draft phase, and very quickly you'll be able to decide who's going to win it, because I think that while Crownshot is the better ADC between the two, I think the fact that Patrick is the best player from Excel gives them a stylistic edge to shut down SK, because they can match him tit for tat and hopefully keep him from going out of control with the game. 200 years him, if you will.
Something I found so interesting, Youngbuck actually said right at the beginning of that interview that they don't even know where they stand. They don't know where everyone else stands. We're sitting here pretty confident about where Excel and SK might stand, but Youngbuck himself doesn't have a freaking clue. We'll have to find out, because the stakes are through the roof here in Week 6 as Excel and SK look for a massive win in the race for playoffs. I hope they fight all day. It's fantastic.